Hello everybody, Minstrel on the Run here, coming to you in the midst of a particularly snowy day, but I figured I would take some time to give you an overview of in fact a few of my favorite things, being my Swiss Army knife collection that I've built up over about the last year. I think there are few things in an everyday carry system that offer just kind of more nostalgic value, comfort, and functionality than a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, they have a classic look, a socially accepted kind of look in an ever more tactical growing world of everyday carry items, and they just look nice. So for me, the ideal Swiss Army knife is one that can combine a lot of functionality in a minimal tool set, so that you're left with a smallest possible knife that provides you the most amount of options for dealing with all of life's little emergencies. So over the last year, I did a lot of research to find out which of these knives at the various different sizes offer the most kind of unique functionality, so that when I leave at the beginning of the day, I can make a choice based off of restrictions and things I'm likely to encounter, and each of these affords something kind of unique about it. So I'll start on the end from the smallest here. All but one of these are Victorinox knives. I've just found that they're better at packing more functions into a smaller space than the Wenger models, but there is a Wenger model here, and I'll tell you why I purchased that one in a bit. But when I have to have the absolute minimal set to me, say I'm working in an office and the only storage space I have is a small watch pocket, and I guess that's a point too. I don't like to carry any of these mixed in with something else. I don't carry these on keychains because that's one way to get them kind of roughed up. I would like my collection to last, despite the fact that I try and use it, and also to me it's a hassle to shackle this to something else. It should be kind of independent and available on its own. So when I have the minimum amount of space, this is what I take with me. And if you are looking for a Swiss Army knife that's just the smallest James Bondy, take care of almost any daily emergency task, I think the Midnight Manager is very hard to beat. So in addition to giving all those traditional tools on a keychain Swiss Army knife, the main blade, the screwdriver tipped nail file, and the very useful pair of tweezers, the Manager, or in this case the Midnight model, also incorporates this pretty stout combination tool that has a nice reaching Phillips driver and a minimally useful bottle opener, but good to have. The real advantage though is in what it uses for the scale tools. So instead of the ubiquitous toothpick and tweezers that you'll see on all the other models here, this one has instead a small retractable pen and a surprisingly bright LED light that's activated by pushing the shield here. And I know that some people will miss having those things on board, but in choosing what's going to be the right Swiss Army knife for you, you have to do a lot of kind of calculation of what am I really likely to need at a moment's notice. And for me, I find a lot more kind of offhand situations where I need a light or I need a pen. And it's good to have tweezers, for first aid purposes, but to be honest, I have never had a splinter emergency that was so bad that, I needed to get it out right away, and that the tweezers on a Swiss Army knife could get out. So for just day-to-day tasks, things I'm likely to run into around an office, and when I have minimal space to carry it, this is definitely what I go to. Now that being said, a lot of people may carry on their keychains as part of their everyday carry system, a small pen like this True Utility retractable pen. And lots of people carry flashlights. Here's the E-Gear Pico, one that I've loved and put on zipper pulls a lot. So you might not need the tools that are incorporated into the Midnight Manager. So in the event that I had those on me, I would maybe opt to carrying something like this. And this is the Wenger. It goes by a couple of names. One is the Executive, and the other is the Pocket Tool Chest. I think the latter is a more appropriate name, and especially avoids confusion with a knife later on in the lineup. But it has tools that are similar to the Midnight Manager. The combination tool is a little different because it's flat, has kind of this taper look, so you could use it as a very light duty pry bar, maybe getting off like a light switch plate or something like that. And it has the standard toothpick and tweezers in the scales. And it also has a couple of tools that are really specific to this particular knife. You won't find them really in this form on any other Swiss Army knives, and certainly not at this size. So one of these is a long fixed micro screwdriver, which offers a lot of reach. So if you're doing a lot of fine detail work, you might want to consider that. And also kind of a bit of a perplexing tool rather, perhaps I had a little slip there, is this awl. It's very thin, not sharpened, does have a sewing eye, but I think really the heaviest you could really punch through with it would be maybe some heavy duty plastic. It also has this kind of cuticle pusher, which you can use on your nails. But if you were looking just for a genuine, general kind of poking, prying tool, maybe this would work for you. I also like that this came with its own little sheath, which can be attached to your belt and can look pretty small and discreet in an office setting. So set that aside. As I mentioned, one of the names this is known by is the Executive, which is, I think, a more commonly thought of knife in this Victorinox model, which goes by the same name. And I think which lives up to that name a little more honestly than the Wenger model. So if there's one knife in here that I own primarily for collection purposes, it's this one. And if you have watched MacGyver at all, you have noticed this tool in the opening credits as he pries off the lids of some vials of acid. And this is an orange peeler with a screwdriver tip on it. I mean, it looks cool, and you won't find it on any other Swiss Army knife. And as you notice, it's got a pretty thin profile, and all the tools on it are geared pretty much towards hygiene, maintenance, specifically nail care. Not really in terms of being an office, fixer-upper. As you notice, the drivers, both things that can function as drivers, are kind of incidental. They're just kind of added on to more prominent tools. This is a really fine nail file, though, probably the best nail file in the Swiss Army knife line, and its tip can be used in Phillips screws, but as both of them are very thin and long, they certainly won't stand up to much torque before breaking. The Executive includes a nice size kind of mid-length blade. So just to give you a size perspective, the Midnight Manager is 58 millimeters. The Wenger Pocket Tool Chest / Executive is 65 millimeters, and the Executive by Victorinox is 74. And so that added length gives you, a proper handful for the blade. So one feature I don't like is how the keychain ring is on the blade end. That was a design flaw that I think they fixed in the Midnight Manager and the Midnight Mini Champ, if you're looking for something more elaborate. But this is just kind of, I think, a snazzy looking, gentleman's knife. It really truly is an Executive type model. It does include this nice kind of mid-sized pair of scissors, which are easier to manipulate than ones found on the smaller knives. And a lot of people, I think, like to use this in conjunction with more heavy-duty knives that don't have kind of all the little personal care features. So I think a lot of people like to carry this in combination with the Victorinox Farmer, which is built more for outdoor use, and then this can kind of take care of all those personal, everyday carry needs. So another something to kind of consider. That one also came with this sheath. Unlike the one for the Wenger, though, there's no belt loop on it, so you're not going to be able to carry this around like this. It just kind of looks nice while it's in there. Alright, so moving on up, we get to kind of the more standard length Swiss Army knives. So here's an 84 millimeter model, and I was looking at the Tinker for perhaps those times where I've got something else that covers the everyday carry parts. I'll be honest, the things I use probably most on a Swiss Army knife are the scissors and the nail file. I mean, just the thing that comes up the most is snagging a nail and filing it down, and then so I would want to have that needs covered, and a coworker was nice enough to give me this old original model Swiss card, and that contains things like the scissors. These are actually about the same size as those found on the Executive. It also includes, all these scale tools, the toothpick tweezers, and what are known as plus scale tools of a straight pen, a pin, and then it's kind of converted the nail file screwdriver tip to its own detachable implement. And then has an extra blade here. So I carry this a lot in my office bag, just as kind of an extra thing, and I know that I've got those extra features covered, so if I want to carry something that has a little more fix-it utility, I'll take this, and this is the Tinker Small, so just a slightly reduced version of the regular Tinker model, and which has the can opener and small screwdriver slash Phillips screwdriver, that stout prying tool of the bottle opener, and a large flathead screwdriver. Then a big, slightly reduced small blade, a small blade here, and a slightly smaller main blade than what you would find on 91mm models. In addition, it also contains a proper Phillips screwdriver and an awl/reamer, which, unlike the Winger model, has a properly sharpened edge. So if I was going to be out and about, maybe helping somebody move or something, and I thought there might be a need to do handyman tasks, but I wasn't able to carry a proper multi-tool, I might carry this Tinker Small. It offers the advantage of being a little bit smaller than the full-size models, and since in the Tinker you can't get those plus scale features, at least not that I've seen in any of my searching. I did go ahead and add a pin to the little hole here, and you will find that on all the currently produced 84 and 91mm models. Whether they actually come with the pin kind of can vary. So that's something I could use in combination with something else. It would probably also be the case if I bought a cadet or a farmer. I'd want to have the commonly used things a lot, but most of the time I'm not able to make room for multiple things when I'm just out and about with minimal accessories. So when I can only carry one knife and I have the room for it, I carry this. This is the 91mm length Victorinox compact, and a lot of people have really come out with this, saying that it is the best everyday carry Swiss Army knife, and I think for a lot of people that is going to be precisely the case, because even though it's only 2 layers thick, it just gives you so many capabilities. It might not do them as well as some of the other models that have more dedicated tools for a particular function, but it gives you the ability to improvise. And again, for you MacGyver fans, you might recognize this model from the Season 7 2-part episode Goodnight MacGyver, where MacGyver uses the corkscrew to suspend him and Merlin over a burning lava pit. But let's get to it. What the compact allows you to do is really save a lot of space by making some compromises, and those compromises are mainly achieved by the use of this combination tool instead of a separate can opener and bottle opener. So this takes the place of a secondary knife, which in an everyday carry Swiss Army knife you probably don't need, and it is, you can see in other videos, it actually is pretty good at opening cans, and it has a really well, if you were going to have one size of screwdriver, this is kind of perfectly engineered, because this works well on most of the common household screws I've seen, and if you angle it in, you can also use it, albeit a little more slowly, with Phillips screwdrivers as well. Alright, and the main advantage of the compact is that you get the full-sized 91mm set of scissors and the full-sized 91mm main blade. And then something that's really unique about the compact is a bunch of extra features, that some of which are only found on plus scale models and just seem to come standard with the compact. So plus scale features again are this little removable eyeglass screwdriver in the corkscrew, and although I don't use the corkscrew a whole lot, I use this quite a bit, and for me that's worth it to sacrifice a dedicated Phillips driver when the combo tool can deal with them. I'm not going to be doing any heavy duty work, but if I'm expecting to do that, I'll carry something else. Another plus feature again is this pin, which came included on this compact, and a retractable pen. And I really think that these features should be standard on all Swiss Army knives. I think it's super useful to have a pen around. And then if there's a controversial feature about the compact, or one that just annoys people, it's the presence of the multi-purpose hook over any other particular tool. Now, as a particular YouTube reviewer noted,
you get A hook! You can hook a lot of shit with a hook.
You can hook a lot of stuff with this, but what really sets the compact apart, aside from a few electronic scaled Swiss Army knife models, is that the back of the hook contains the snail file. So, and if you hold it like this, I think it's actually, you can get a lot of good control out of it. It still, isn't maybe as good as a dedicated nail file, but it gives you the ability to handle that common everyday task without taking up additional space. So with the minimal kind of increase in length and just keeping things to 2 layers, the compact can still deal with a lot of everyday tasks, which is why it's my preferred model, because it's small enough that it can really disappear. I forget it's there, but it is with me at all times, and it's able to deal with most things that I run into. And then to it, I've affixed this lanyard. This is a replacement lanyard for the Swiss rescue tool, and it just is it's nice. It's got the Victorinox emblem and just kind of makes for a fashionable little setup. So that is it in the way of everyday carry knives that I have. Usually it comes down to probably either this or this for what I have, and these are just kind of more for collecting purposes, but they're all nice to have, and they may be the knife that best suits you for your daily purposes. I did get something else actually just today, so I'm going to show it off here. As I wanted to get a slightly bigger, more gadgety Swiss Army knife for primarily for light hiking purposes, or when I have more storage space, e.g. I'm wearing a large jacket or coat, and I can carry the knife there as opposed to in my pocket. So what finally came today, and I talked about this in my Swiss Champ unboxing video, is the Ranger model. And so as you can see, it's a good deal thicker than the largest knife here. But what it does is, while still being fairly manageable if you had either really deep pockets or a coat jacket, is it really gives you every kind of function that a knife, as a cutting tool should do. I won't go over all the features, you can look these up, but what you have are 5 layers of tools up top and 5 layers of tools on the back. And I did see that they have plus versions of this available online. However, the standard model was $25 on sale, and so I leapt at it and just added my own pin, added an extra eyeglass screwdriver that I happen to have, and just am eating the loss of a pin. But I think most times where I'll carry this, I'll probably be carrying more stuff anyway, and will have a pen with me anyway. But the Ranger model is definitely my pick for a full-size Swiss Army knife that offers a lot of functions and is still, pretty manageable in hand and in pocket. So there we go. These are probably all I plan on getting for the time being, but it's a nice little collection, and one that I think can take care of just about every daily situation I'm likely to face. So be happy to hear your thoughts on what you think is the ultimate everyday Swiss Army everyday carry knife, and feel free to leave comments below, and look forward to seeing you again in the future.